This morning, what I want to talk about is how much I've been enjoying Pastor Dan's series on joy. How many of you enjoyed his joy? Because when I grew up, I got to tell you, when I grew up in this Southern Baptist kind of background. I attended a Southern Baptist church as a kid, and to say that they were not exactly a joyful church is kind of an understatement. They were not exactly what I'd call joyful. They took church very, very seriously. And there's nothing wrong with taking church seriously. You should take your spirituality very seriously, but lighten up a little bit, folks. You can enjoy God. That's why God, manifests in our churches, so that we can enjoy Him. Okay, the church of my childhood was a very joyless place. I remember the deacons of our church. They scared me when I was a child, because they would stand in the back by the doors. So if you got up to leave or something like that, to go to the, they'd all kind of scowl at you as you went by. They all stood back there and they wore polyester burgundy coats and white leather belts and white shoes, because that was the style back then, right? And they all stood back there and they would stand back and they would look sort of like that. You have to get up and go to the bathroom. They're like, yeah. And I thought, oh my goodness, I never want to be a deacon ever. They're the most joyless people. I don't want to be like that. And next thing I know, here I am, Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. We can be joyful in church. We need to be serious about our religion, but we can be joyful. Now, I'm not talking about being frivolous. I'm not talking about being kind of flighty or silly, okay? I'm not advocating for that. What I'm advocating is for joy. And I think joy has many, many different facets to it. One of the facets of joy is contentment. Be able to enjoy whatever you have. To be able to enjoy whatever you have. I know a lot of discontent people. I know a lot of people who are just unhappy. They can't enjoy the things that they have. If they have a job, it's not right for them. It doesn't suit them. They don't like it. They don't enjoy it. If they have a partner, I could probably get a better one. Why did I get stuck with this one? Right? If there's something, there's always something wrong. There's something wrong with their cell phone. There's something wrong with their cell phone service. If they go someplace, they're disappointed. Right? It's like, oh, I heard it was better than this. If they go to a restaurant, it's like, I remember eating someplace else and it was much better. And they're never happy. They can never experience joy with what they have with them right there in front of them at the moment. TV used to be better. Music used to be better. Okay? The newer iPhones are better, or the older iPhones were better. Why did they replace it? Okay? They're always unhappy about something. Okay? I guess right now there's probably, one of these discontented people sitting in the audience right now going, R.C. used to preach much better. I don't know where he's going now, but he used to be better in the old days. Just it's falling apart. That's what's happened. Right? There are some discontented people I refuse to go out and share a meal with. I'm like, I'm not going to go have dinner with, no, I don't want to have dinner with you. I don't want to have lunch with you. Because I get tired of hearing how much that meal that I'm eating and enjoying at the moment, how bad it is and how someplace else is much better and we should have gone there anyway. Right? I'm like, what do you mean? This is great. Let's enjoy it. Let's have a good time. I remember back when I was single, back in my single days, I'd hang out with a group of guys, we'd all go out and we'd eat, because we didn't cook, Right? We'd all go out and eat and stuff like that. And there was one guy in the group, he was always discontented. He was always unhappy. No matter where you went, he didn't like it. And so, when we would discuss amongst ourselves, where would you like to go to eat? Where would you like to go? That sounds good. Where do you want to go? Right? All that kind of stuff. We'd never ask him. And one day he finally called us on it. He said, hey, how come you never ask me where I want to go? And one of our friends told me, he goes, well, it doesn't matter because you won't like it anyway. So we don't really care where you want to go, right? It doesn't matter. You won't like it no matter where you go. You're always unhappy. Now, I know that a lot of us aren't as bad as that particular person, or maybe you are, I don't know. However, many of us are not content with what we have. We lack contentment, and that robs us of our joy. So I wanted to share with you this morning, how I learned to be content. Things, along my journey, how I've learned to be content. So let me ask you, are you personally content this morning? Are you happy with your life? Are you happy with yourself? Are you happy with the way things are? Are you discontent? Are you being robbed of your joy? And if you are, here's a few ideas for you. First, I want to look at a verse from Timothy. So let's put up the first slide there, from Timothy. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. People who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. I like what he says about godliness with contentment is great gain, because I believe that gain is joy. And as Pastor Dan has pointed out, the joy of the Lord is my strength, and from strength you can move into courage and be bold. I think that great gain is joy, that when you have contentment, you gain joy out of that. I think that the first step to becoming content is to realize that everything is a gift. Put up the next slide for me. Once you begin to understand that everything in life is a gift, you can begin to become content. Paul writes that we brought nothing into this world and that we can take nothing out of it. But he's just really echoing previous writers before him. This was an idea that would have been very common to the people that he was writing to. We brought nothing into this world, we can take nothing out of it. Job, in the book of Job, when he lost everything, he answered, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will return. King Solomon, the wisest man in the book of Ecclesiastes, said the same exact thing. He said, naked I came into this world, and naked I'm going to go out. We didn't bring anything with us, and when we die, you're not going to take anything out. There's an old saying, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You don't get to take it with you, right? I have a great story about a man who tried to. There was this very wealthy man. He wanted to take it with him. So he called his minister and his doctor and his lawyer together, and he said, look, here's $50,000 each. When I die, you throw this in my casket just before they bury me. I'm going to take it with me. So on the day of the funeral, all three of them approached the casket, and they threw something in, and they left. Of course, afterwards, they got together, and they were talking about it, and the minister said, well, I have to be honest about this. The church needed a new roof, so I only put $20,000 in. Lawyers, the doctor said, well, to be honest, I needed a new x-ray machine. I only put $30,000 in. The lawyer stood back and said, gentlemen, I am shocked. I put a check in for the full amount. You can't take it with you, folks. And you didn't bring it with you. And that's the point that I want to make. You didn't bring it with you. When you came into this world, you had absolutely nothing. Everything was given to you. Your clothes were given to you. Your food was given to you. Everything was given to you. But even more, think about this. The air you breathe and the life you have was given to you as a gift by God. Your very life is a gift from God. Years ago, when Michael and I first started coming to this church, one of the singers up here, Elnora, she always used to say, you need to be thankful because God did not need to wake you up this morning. And that's true. We need to be thankful. Every day is a gift from God. You might think that the things that you have as an adult today, that you earned them because you worked for them, but even every ability, every talent, every skill you have is a gift from God. And without those things, you would not be able to work. The ability to work is a gift from God. Some of you are like going, well, can I send that one back? But everything we have is a gift from God. The ability to work, the opportunity to work. Some of you may have gone to school to study. Some of you may have learned and earned degrees, but your ability to study, your ability to reason, your very minds are gifts from God. Everything is a gift from God. And when we acknowledge that, it changes our perspective. Because we realize that I don't deserve it. See, it's this idea that I'm not getting what I deserve that makes us discontent. And when you begin to realize that everything is a gift, you can begin to receive it with thankfulness. And the thankfulness brings the contentment, and it brings the joy. Everything we receive is an undeserved gift. It's when people starting to think that they earned it. Well, I earned it, and I deserve it, and I deserve better than this. I deserve a better job, I deserve a better partner, I deserve a better meal, I deserve a better cell phone, I deserve a better car, because I earned it. No, you didn't. It was given to you as a gift. Many of us probably remember maybe waking up as a child on a Christmas morning and you got a kind of a disappointing gift. You're like, socks. I wanted a Red Ryder BB gun, and I got socks. Did you pout? Did you throw a tantrum? Did you sulk? Did you cry? What did you do? Did you just feel disappointed? Were you discontent? You're like, it's not what I wanted. See, that's childish behavior. That's how children behave because they're immature. When we grow up, we learn how to be thankful for the gifts that are given to us. We learn to receive things thankfully. That's a more mature attitude. Your life is a gift. Your family, sometimes a gift you wish to return, but your family is a gift. Are you enjoying it for what it is? Have you received it thankfully, and are you enjoying it for what it truly is? Or are you whining that you deserve something better? You know, I have a good friend who was upset because she had given a coworker a gift. You know, it was the coworker's birthday. You know, they weren't really that close of friends, but, you know, she bought her a little gift. Here's a little gift for you. And she got very upset because her coworker, rather than receiving it graciously, rather than receiving it with thanks, rather than enjoying what it was for, openly mocked the gift in front of the other coworkers, saying, what a cruddy gift this is. You know, who comes up with this kind of idea? Why would she give me something like this? Apparently this person doesn't know anything about me. It's like, that's right. If she'd known you were such an ungrateful person, I wouldn't give you anything. You know? But it's exactly what we do with the gifts that God gives to us. Rather than receiving them gratefully and thankfully and being content and enjoying what we have, we whine and we complain. I don't have enough. I want more. I want better. Same thing that happened to my coworker. Luckily for us, God is very patient. He understands that at times we are like immature children, and sometimes we do not appreciate the gifts that He gives us. You know, as I got older, you know, and it took a while, but as I got older, I began to really appreciate the socks that my great-grandmother gave me every year for Christmas. I remember her, she would always say to me as she handed me the package, you know, before I even got it unwrapped, she'd always say, well, it's socks. As I'm squishing the package, I'm like, I know. Every year, socks. Right? You know, and she always said, I don't know what you want and I don't know what you need, but I know boys need socks, so I bought you socks. Oh, well, thank you, Grandma. I appreciate it, socks. But as I got older, I really learned to appreciate those socks. Because, you know, after you move out on your own, you know, money's a little tight, right? It wasn't until after my grandmother passed away that I really appreciated the socks. Because it was like a year after she passed that I actually went to my sock drawer, and as I'm going through going, wow, another one with a hole in it, I'm like, I have to buy socks. I haven't bought socks in 15 years. Why don't I have socks? And I thought, because Grandma always took care of socks for me. That was something I never had to think about. Where are my socks? I wish she were alive so I could have some socks. And I finally appreciated the gift. She was right. Boys need socks. And she knew that. And suddenly I appreciate that gift so much more. I was shocked at how much socks actually cost, too. I'm like, really? I have to pay that much for them? When you come to understand that everything you have in life comes from God, and that it's a gift, then you learn to accept it gracefully, and you can enjoy it for whatever it is. That's the secret of contentment. That's the secret of contentment. Second, you also need to realize you've been brainwashed. Give me another slide there. You've been brainwashed. I think a lot of us know this, but we sometimes forget it. You know, Paul says that people who are rich fall into temptations and a trap, into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge men into ruin and destruction. See, I like that it's described like a trap. See, because from the moment that we're born, our culture starts bombarding us with constant messages telling us that we need to want things, right? We want more, we want another one, we want a new one, we want a better one, we want the next one. We want. It starts as little kids, right? They put you in front of the TV. The children of the 80s, here you go. They put you in front of the TV, and they have a new character on the G.I. Joe cartoon. And guess what? There's an action figure that goes with it. Mom, they got a new character. I need to go out and get this action figure. Or, you know, He-Man or She-Ra, for whichever one you guys liked. I don't know, right? They introduced a new action character. I got to go get this action figure. Mom, look, it's brand new. It's coming out, and it's Christmas just around the corner. Mom, I need this new one. I need it. And we're taught to want all the time. And if you don't want, you know, if you don't fulfill this want, then bad things will happen to you, right? If you don't buy the Axe deodorant spray, then all the girls won't chase you around, right? You know, you'll be ugly, you'll be undesirable, you'll be unsatisfied, you'll be denied what you deserve. Think right now, how many commercials are out there? How many print ads are out there? How many billboards are out there? Radio ads are out there right now telling you that you need this product to make you desirable, socially desirable. And if you don't have it, nobody's going to like you. Or you deserve this vacation. You deserve this car. You deserve this bottle of alcohol. You deserve whatever this is because you've worked so hard. And we're told over and over again, you have to want these things, right? They build desire in us. You've got to have them. Otherwise, all this bad stuff's going to happen to you. If you're not doing this, bad things happen. That's the message of our consumer society. We're constantly sold to, constantly bombarded with these messages. We're trained to want things, and we are actually raised up and trained to be dissatisfied. We are trained to be discontent. We are not trained to be content. Because if you are a content consumer, you don't buy stuff. Again, going back to my great-grandmother, she was the most impossible person to buy stuff for. She was a child of the Great Depression. She survived through the Great Depression. She survived through the rationing of World War II. That was her generation, and they had a completely different attitude towards material things. Sometimes I'd ask her, I'd say, well, Grandma, you know, Christmas is coming up. What can I buy you? How about a new pair of shoes, Grandma? Can I buy you a new pair of shoes? And she'd say, well, why? These ones are still in good shape. Oh, okay. Well, how about, I don't know, maybe I'll buy you a nice sweater. Grandma, would you like a nice sweater? Well, I already have two, and I can only wear one at a time. I don't really need another one. Oh, Grandma, you're making this so hard, you know. Grandma, is there anything that you want? You know, how about a new TV? I'll buy you a new TV. Look at this old TV. Well, it still works. Yeah, but it's old, Grandma. You know, I can get you like big. No, I like this one. It works just nice, you know. I turn it on, and it takes some time to warm up, and I got time to make my tea, and I won't even miss my show. Grandma, you're making this hard. Stop it. Cash, Grandma. I'll just give you cash. How about, oh, no, I got plenty of money in the bank. You know, the government gives me a check every month, and I can't even spend it all. Grandma, please, let me give you some. Oh. She was the most contented individual I'd ever met in my entire life. And so she didn't consume. And when she died, she had money hidden everywhere. They were digging money out of like sweater pockets in her closet and under the couch and because she didn't consume, because she was content. A contented consumer doesn't consume. So they have to brainwash us to tell you, you are discontent unless you drink Dos Equis, like the most interesting man in the world, right? Or unless you drink Coke or you drink Pepsi. You know, and if you drink Pepsi, you should be drinking Coke because, you know, Coke drinkers are better. I don't know what it is. You have to be discontent so they can keep selling it to you. I think that's why Paul writes in Romans, the 12th chapter, to not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by what? The renewing of your mind. Paul realized we were all being brainwashed by this world, that we were being told things and taught things that made us discontent. You know, as a person with too much stuff, and I am a person with too much stuff, I've fallen into this trap. That's why I like that he calls it a trap. I have fallen into this trap. I'm still learning this lesson. Think about how much stuff that you throw away. Think about how much stuff you give away or donate to charity or just get rid of because it's supposedly become obsolete. I think it's an amazing concept, and other countries, I think, are amazed at us too, that we have this idea that we have to go and pay and rent storage for our stuff that we stick in there and we don't see for years. because we have so much of it, because we've been brainwashed. See, I'm still trying to learn how to be happy and stop accumulating stuff. I have to fight my impulse buying just because it's a new thing. You know? It's like, but it's an iPhone 5. And the screen's like a whole quarter-inch bigger. It's new. And then I'm like, you still don't use your old iPhone. You don't even know what half the things on there do. Why would you need this? I don't need it, I just want it. Because I was told, I was brainwashed that this is a great thing to have, that it's going to make me happy somehow. The reality is that your possessions don't make you happy. Let's all start enjoying what we already have and stop being manipulated into buying something we don't need just because it's supposedly newer or better. Happiness is not in our stuff. You know what's in our stuff? Discontentment, dissatisfaction. It robs us of our contentment. How many of you have ever watched that show on TV, Hoarders? Yeah, people are literally buried under their stuff because they can't let it go. Because they believe, they've been brainwashed, they believe that if they let it go, they have such an emotional attachment to it that if I let it go, I'll be unhappy. My life will somehow be less. And so they keep it. Roger told me a story about why he stopped collecting dragons. He used to collect dragons. And he told me this story, and I asked him if it's okay to share it, and he said it was okay. He said that, he had a roommate who collected crystals, had this huge crystal collection, that when his roommate passed away, the task fell to Roger to sell it off. And he really didn't know anything about it, and so he was probably selling off some very valuable stuff for pennies. And he realized, this is kind of what happens to your stuff. He can spend thousands of dollars on a fabulous collection of dragons of all types, and what's going to happen to it when he's all gone? Naked I came into this world, and naked I'm going to go out. You don't get to take it with you. I'm not against collecting stuff. I'm like, if you like to collect stuff, enjoy it. But realize your happiness is not in it. And when you go, it's not going to go with you. I see shows like Storage Wars. How many people have seen Storage Wars? Right? There's got about 3 or 4 spin-offs on it now. A lot of things they don't tell you is that, it's not just people who haven't paid their rent and that's why the storage locker is being sold. It's people who have died. That's why they didn't pay it. So you're opening up this locker of somebody's life and the stuff that they have accumulated, and it's going for pennies. My parents love to go to estate sales. Estate sales are where somebody else comes in and sells the stuff that you've accumulated over your lifetime, and it goes for pennies. That's why I tell you, enjoy what you have now, because when you're gone, you don't get to enjoy it. It's going to be sold, probably for pennies on the dollar. Enjoy what you have now. Realize that you have been brainwashed. It's not in accumulating more and more. Happiness is not there. It's in enjoying what you have right now. Whatever God has given you, enjoy that now, because that's contentment. The last tip I have for you, and I think this is probably the most important one, it's to make your desires into preferences. Make your desires into preferences. See, Paul says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's not just money itself, but it's possessions and material things. Loving these things, that's the root of all evil. People who love money will do terrible things to get it. They do them because they think they have to have them in order to be happy. They think they need material possessions. They think they need money to be happy, and you don't. See, I think it's okay to want things. Contentment is not laziness. I mean, if you have no ambition, no drive, motivation, that's laziness, and that's not contentment. I think wanting things is great because it gives you a little bit of ambition, it gives you a little bit of motivation, it gets you out there going, I would really like to have a new car. Well, go to work. Okay, I will. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a new car and I'm going to do these things. I think we need to actually want things. I don't think wanting things is bad. What I say is, when your happiness becomes dependent upon the things you want, when you say to yourself, if I don't get what I want, I can't be happy, that's when you've made the mistake. One of the things you need to understand is that you already have everything you need to be happy. You already have it all. You have everything you need if you are with the Lord. Think about it. You know, I love that John picked that old hymn, "It Is Well With My Soul." That's one of my favorite hymns, absolutely. You know, because the song is all about, you know, when all these terrible things happen, I can still be content because I know my soul is in God's hands. See, if you have that, if you have salvation, what more do you really need? What more do you really need besides basic food and clothing, shelter? You probably already have everything in your life that you need to be happy. And when you start saying, I can't be happy unless I get whatever it is you want, then you rob yourself of contentment. You rob yourself of joy. You know, I would actually prefer to drive a nice high-end car. I'd prefer to eat a nice $50 steak. I'm somebody who enjoys a steak, as you can tell, right? And I enjoy the nice $50 steak, $75 steak, $125 steak. I would love to go to one of those restaurants where they plunk down, you know, $500 or $600 for that Kobe steak that's been, you know, raised on drinking beer and massaged every day, you know, right? And they brought it by and they mercy killed it, you know, and they sliced off the most tender part and fixed it all up with little mushrooms and onions, and here you go, $600, and it's probably delicious. I would love to eat one of those. But I don't need to eat it. It's not going to make me happier and unhappy if I eat it. You know, I won't be any happier eating that than the $5.99 steak down at Norm's. It's not going to I'm not going to go, now my life is complete, I feel fulfilled. You know, I'm so happy now. No, I can enjoy the steak down at Norm's too, and enjoy that I got it at a bargain. That's a great part. You know, I would prefer to live in Beverly Hills, but I don't need it to be happy. See, it's not bad to want things, but it robs you of your contentment when you make them what you need to be happy. Let me give you an example. Years ago, back when I was doing counseling, a woman came to me and she was very unhappy because she didn't have the right boyfriend. Now, she had gone through a whole series of them. She'd gone through maybe 10 or 15 of them, right? And it's like, well, don't you have guys asking you out? Yes. Why don't you go out with one of them? They're not right. I don't like them. What were wrong with the last ones you had? You know? And every one of them, there was something wrong about each one of them. Some, you know. And I'm like, well, maybe you just kind of need to learn to accept what you get and learn to live with it a little bit. No. I want. That was the word. I want. And she listed out this perfect boyfriend that she wanted. I'm like, I don't think you're ever going to get that. She's like, I know. That's why I'm so unhappy. I'm like, can you listen to yourself? I said, I want you to listen to yourself. I want you to say this. I can't be happy until I get a man that's like this. And she said it, and she stopped, and she goes, that sounds so childish. I'm like, bingo. You're acting like a spoiled child. Knock it off. I said, the next guy that comes along, go, you know, he's not half bad. I can probably live with him, and move on, right? How many of you guys, what was his name? Dr. Viscott, you guys know him? You know, he goes, one of our big problems, you know, in searching for other people and searching to be relationship is we're looking for the perfect one. He goes, just find somebody you can live with. That's good enough, trust me. He says, I've been married for 50 years. It's good enough. Why do we make our wants so important to our happiness? I can't be happy unless I have a new car. I can't be happy unless I live in, pick the place. I can't be happy unless I have a house with 5 bedrooms. Mine only has 4, and it only has 3 bathrooms. I got to have 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms, or I can't be happy. And we rob ourselves because we don't understand that these things won't make us happy. When you can turn your wants into preferences, when you say, yes, I would prefer to live in Beverly Hills, but I don't need it to make me happy. Yes, I would prefer to eat a $50 steak, but it doesn't make me happy. Yes, I would prefer to be going out with whoever you think's the hottest person in the world, but I don't need that to make me happy. It would make me excited for a couple hours, but could I just rent them or whatever, right? But you have to understand. You have to understand. They're just preferences. When your wants become preferences, then you can be content with the things that you have. when you no longer make them your preferences, when you make them dependent for your happiness, it robs you of your contentment, it robs you of your joy. So, what I want you to remember today is that everything we receive is a gift from God. We need to receive it graciously, we need to receive it thankfully, we need to enjoy it for what it is, and stop thinking that you somehow deserve a better gift. Second, understand that you're being brainwashed into being unhappy. You're being brainwashed into being discontent. You already have everything you need to be happy. And third, understanding that wanting things is good, but don't make your happiness dependent on the things that you want. Make them into your preferences. When you can do these things, then you will be content. And that contentment will be part of your joy. And you can experience the joy of the Lord. Now, this week I've talked about contentment. Next week when I get to speak again, I believe that we need to be discontent about certain things. And so next week I'm talking about discontentment and what we need to be discontent about. So this week contentment, next week discontentment. Hopefully you're going to be back for that. Until then, praise team, come on up. Let's close out in prayer.